I'm not kidding when I say there are hundreds of reporters here. It is truly the biggest weekend of the year for college basketball, one of the biggest weekends of the year for sports, fair to say. They will have to adjust for that added capacity. Lucas Oil Stadium expected to have about 70,000 fans in attendance. Quick math, that's more than triple State Farm Center. Yeah, Tristan, so much to thank for that, right? The recruiting job that Brett Underwood and his staff have done. We know strength coach Adam Fletcher gets all these guys right and gets them ready to go from the first day they step on campus. But there is another staffer who makes quite an impact that you might not know as much about. Now, in addition to the Merck madness and a whole lot of star power on this team, you can't make a Final Four without some glue guys. The Illini have some returners on this team who are making an impact in so many ways other than just scoring the basketball. And Illinois lost 5 out of 9 games entering the Big Dance. Courtney and I stood in Chicago at the Big Ten tournament after that overtime loss to Wisconsin and said, what happened to this team? Now we're standing here saying, what happened to this team? The Illini in the Final Four, but not without that adversity we just mentioned. And Illinois had practice here in Lucas Oil Stadium this morning. There were a couple thousand fans there. Tomorrow there will be about 70,000 fans here. That can bring some nerves. That can bring some pressure, but for junior guard Andrei Stojakovic, pressure is nothing new. Starters just because of his last name. And I'm Glenn Kinley, the Illini, as we speak, putting the finishing touches on the game plan and the preparation to take on UConn tomorrow night, right back here in the Final Four. Still, think about the crazy journey that it has been to get to this point after this team was not playing its best basketball early in the month of March. Something changed in the NCAA tournament. Well, he is a McCordlesville, Indiana native with a blonde ponytail, known for the corner three. But Jake Davis has apparently been adopted by the Eastern Europeans on this roster. Here's why the junior guard fits right in, despite growing up about 4,800 miles closer to Indianapolis than David, Tommy, and the rest of the International Illini.
Before I came here, Tommy told me that Jake was kind of Balkan. He was just American, that he had something Balkan in him.
Is he kind of like an honorary Balkan at this point?
He's like 40% Balkan now.
3 points, Illinois, Jake Davis.
So you want to be a Balkan.
Probably got to be a little bit crazy.
Jake seems to check that box with ease.
He loves to joke, he loves to have fun. He's a little crazy, a little goofy, you know, so he just fits us perfectly.
As each of the European players moved a long ways from home, Jake was there to help.
He's gone out of his way to make those guys feel at home.
I think it's me taking care of them. Tommy got here 2 years ago, didn't know what he was doing. I had to help him through it, and now 3, 4 more came, and then Tommy's like, oh, you got any questions, ask him. So I guess I'm just the person they asked for help. The favor in return, a trip to their homes.
He wanted to come to Serbia, to visit Serbia, Croatia, Montenegro.
He's going to try all my mom's food, see all the places I've grown up.
A language barrier, something we're still working on.
He maybe knows more Serbian than Andre knows.
I know a little bit. I would probably say I know more than anybody else on the team that's American.
But he's getting there. He's getting better.
Going home for the food, but also
looking for his wife, Croatian one.
It's super cool to share, you know, the American lifestyle, my lifestyle as a whole, and they get to share their lifestyle, what it's like from being overseas and sharing that stuff with me.
He's very much ingrained with those guys.
Now, if you think this is just a funny bit, I'll tell you, Jake Davis is actually represented by the same agent as all these guys now, who also reps Nikola Jokic. What I did not ask is if he plans to change his name to something like Jakoslav Davisic, but I think if the Illini win 2 more games, Jake can go by whatever name he wants, and Illinois fans will remember it forever. For your Illini Nation in Indianapolis, Glenn Kinley, WCIA 3 Sports. The greatest and hardest working athletes are the first ones to show up and the last ones to leave. But typically, at least in this Illinois program, there are some folks around when the first player gets there and still there when the last player leaves each night. You know Brett Underwood, you know Keaton Wagler, but coaches and players alike tell me none of this gets done without the team managers.
They're the backbone of this entire program.
They make a lot of impact. You know, they're here for us. You know, whatever we need, you know, they take care of us. And, you know, we all appreciate, you know, for those guys. We love them. We wouldn't make it this far if it wasn't for them, definitely.
You guys wouldn't see none of this if it weren't for the managers. I can't thank them enough. We appreciate them so much. They put in so much work that's unseen.
Their impact not lost on head coach Brad Underwood.
You get me talking a long time about those guys. They're the most selfless people in this whole deal, and they manage time better than anybody I know. Love them to death, and can't thank them enough.
What makes this program unique? The togetherness. There is not the team and the managers. They are part of the team.
We're all really close with outside of the court, and we all hang out together. We go get food, we go out. We hang out in the rooms every single day. I actually live with a manager, Landon Redfern.
They feel that inclusion, that appreciation, and say, it goes a long ways.
They thank us for all that we do, and they just treat us like people, which at the end of the day is one of the most important things.
Among the usual team manager tasks, rebounding in practice, laundry after practice, these guys have also volunteered their services in a more unconventional way, offering rides to and from class or practices for players from Croatia, Serbia, or Montenegro who need some time to get an American driver's license. For your Illini Nation in Indianapolis, Glenn Kinley, WCIA 3 Sports. Right, I caught up with Lon Kruger yesterday via Zoom. Kruger coached the Illini, you might remember, from 96 to 2000. Then he left to go coach in the NBA. Later found himself in Norman, Oklahoma, leading the Sooners for a decade. But now his son Kevin is in his first year as an assistant with the Illini. Kevin was the head coach at UNLV for 4 years before this season. Lon is retired now, but says he's awfully happy for his son and for the Champaign-Urbana community that he got to know so well in his short stint here. He says something that we don't see is a great connectivity and chemistry among the coaching staff, something Kevin has been grateful to be a part of this season.
Oh, certainly. Yeah, well, as a parent, you just want good things for your kids.
He also has a great appreciation for Brad and Tyler Underwood getting to enjoy this journey together, being someone that got to coach his son Kevin in college and got to coach with his son at Oklahoma. Kevin, if you were wondering, was in middle school and high school while his dad was the head coach for the Illini. Kevin was for a couple of years a Centennial Charger. Yeah, Amanda, so I talked with Neil Gonta today. He's the director of player personnel for the Illini, so he helps in the roster construction. I asked him, what makes the pieces of the puzzle fit so well together on this basketball team? He gave me a number of reasons, but then he smiled, he looked at me, and he said, Glenn, we're huge. And they are. This team is massive. Kylan Boswell is the only guy in the rotation shorter than 6'6". Of course, this size and length of this Illini team, headlined by twin brothers who are 7'1" and 7'2". Zvonimir and Tomislav Ivasic are certainly enjoying their first year of playing college basketball together. The truth is, though, a lot of guys maybe wouldn't love the idea of adding a player that's just like them, a 7-footer who can shoot, who might come in and compete for minutes with you. But for Tomislav Ivasic, when that player in question was his twin brother, he was more than okay with it. Head coach Brad Underwood says it did take some time for these two to get reacquainted to playing together, in part due to injuries throughout the season. But he says they set the tone for these 6 Balkans on this roster. When Tommy and Z go, the whole thing goes just a little bit higher, literally and figuratively.
Their chemistry is unbelievable. Their competitiveness is unbelievable. They go at each other all the time.
Of course, we did also talk to Tommy and Z themselves earlier today in the locker room to hear from those guys and a number of other players and coaches. Be sure to join us right back here at 6:30 p.m. for the Your Illini Nation Road to the Championship special. We're bringing you 30 minutes of Final Four preview as we inch closer and closer to tip-off for the Illini and UConn on Saturday. Yeah, well, the Illini were in it the whole way. It got to be a double-digit lead for the Huskies, and you thought maybe they're pulling away. Illinois pulls back within 4 late. It was never over until the last 15 seconds there, and of course, as you can imagine, it is an emotional scene for the Illini as they exit the court, and as we talk to guys in the locker room. This team believed. This team had a lot of belief, which is probably why it got here. But it's so hard to have an abrupt ending like that. A group that's hurting, for sure. A group that's feeling, the emotions of this loss. Andrej Stojakovic, who didn't go to the NCAA tournament the last 2 years, he said, the last couple of years, I knew my season was about to end. This was abrupt, and it was hard. When you look back on this season of Illinois basketball, for years and years and years, though, people will be talking about these freshmen. Keaton Wagler and David Mirkovic have been nothing shy of sensational. Of course, Illini fans would really, really love to see both those guys back in Champaign next year, but for Keaton Wagler, he is a projected NBA lottery pick. We'll be realistic enough to say there is a very good chance this was his last game in orange and blue with the Illini. I asked a few of his teammates, how should Keaton Wagler be remembered in Champaign, Illinois? They said one of a kind, one of the greats, and Jake Davis reminded me his jersey will go up into the rafters in State Farm Center, and it will hang there forever. Keaton Wagler, David Mirkovic, and this whole Illini team have given these fans a special season that they won't forget. Man, Ben has to be the most mature 22, how old is he, 22?
22 or 23.
In the world, maybe. It's fascinating to listen to that guy talk. I asked him about what Brett Underwood means to him. He said he didn't have enough time to give me a full answer. He says Brett Underwood taught him to find what's important and dedicate your life to what's important. For Ben, that's faith, that's family, and it was Illinois basketball, and he gave it his all.
All right, let's welcome in Glenn Kinley of our Champaign affiliate WCIA, who has been covering this Illini team. Tough to see this team go out the way it did, and I'm sure you had a lot of fun covering this ball club.
This team has been unlike any other to follow. I mean, I've followed some good teams and covered some good teams, but this group was so unique. The personalities on this team, the fact that the players came together from quite literally all over the globe and somehow meshed together. There was highs, there was lows, 5 losses in 9 games before the NCAA tournament, and you're thinking, what happened to this team? And all of a sudden they end up in the Final Four in Indianapolis. It's been a fascinating and riveting journey to follow this group that Brett Underwood's put together, the group that's hurting right now, but a group that knows that it had a really special run.
Really seemed to get better from the very first night of the season to where they were tonight.
Yeah, Ben Hummerkaus was a defensive liability last year, and he was one of their better defenders this year. He was guarding point guards, and he was guarding big guys and centers, right? And so the growth of guys like that you mentioned, Kylan Boswell's willingness to let Keaton Wagler take the reins, like all that stuff happens as a result of Brett Underwood and his staff and the buy-in that they get from these guys, which is really, really special. To take a group of guys, like I mentioned, guys from Serbia, Croatia, Indiana, Illinois, like guys from all over the world, and get them to really buy into what you're doing at the University of Illinois in Champaign, Illinois. I can't imagine that's easy, but they found a way to do it. It's a night like tonight where you realize, because you see the looks on these guys' faces and you see the tears, and you realize all these things that they've said all year about culture and buy-in and the relationships being more, and about the fact that it's bigger than basketball. You realize that all that stuff is really, really true. It's not just coach speak. It's the moments tonight that you say, oh, they really mean that stuff. And these guys mean something to each other, and they certainly mean something to Brett Underwood. As Coach put it after the game, he says he hopes that his team created memories that will last a lifetime for people of all ages in all places. And then he paused and he said, they did that for me, a special connection. Yeah, and I can't imagine that this success with the Balkan guys hurts recruiting over there in Europe, right? I mean, if you're playing basketball over there and you're saying, I might want to play college basketball, where should I go? How about the team that maybe has 6 guys that you already know and they were in the Final Four last year? So it was just about a year ago, March Madness, that we were talking, or it was a storyline of, do these European players even really know much about March Madness? Do they even really care that much, or are they familiar with how important this is? I think we can throw that out the window. These guys care. These guys are invested in the team, invested in the success of the University of Illinois, and the emotions were evident post-game. Listening here to Brett Underwood and a couple of his guys try to digest what it was, a heartbreaking ending to a really, really special run in the Big Dance. This team gave the community something special, some memories that a lot of folks will never forget. It's been a joy to be along for the ride, and we appreciate you watching or consuming our coverage and our content however you have. With Courtney Lynn Brewer, I'm Glenn Kinley reporting in Indianapolis for your Illini Nation, WCIA 3 Sports.